Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of my YouTube channel. My name is Jake Fryman. I'm a realtor here in Dayton, Ohio with Keller Williams Community Partners. This week, I wanted to talk a little bit about taxes and how that affects a real estate transaction. So, the important thing to know about taxes is that they are paid in arrears, which means that whenever you do pay off your tax bill, it is not for the current month period that you're in, but for the previous month period. For instance, my taxes are due at the end of the month. They'll be paid out of escrow for my mortgage, but the taxes that will be paid will be from January to July of last year. It kind of builds up for 6 months. The bill is assessed, it is sent to you, and then it is paid by you. But that is for the previous 6 months. And then in June of this year, I will be paying the taxes from July to December of last year, kind of a little catch-up period. So that's how it works for everyone's houses. It's just the way the county does it with processing and collecting taxes off of property. So how does that affect a real estate transaction? Well, a few things on that. So depending on the time of year in which you buy your real estate, your property, whatever, from whoever, the taxes will be assessed differently. Usually the way it works is, and this is also very important to look at on your real estate contract, there is a short proration and a long proration period. And it's kind of a confusing terminology, confusing process, but basically one will cause your taxes to be less that you owe at the conclusion of the sale, at the closing when the money is dispersed. The other method will cause your taxes to be higher that you have to pay out at closing. So I just did a closing today where the seller, they lived in the house from the second half of last year till now, and then they sold it. And so the taxes were collected from July of last year all the way through this year. The seller paid that, and then the buyer got a credit for that then off of her final sales price for purchasing the house. Now, she'll still have to pay those taxes because it'll still be her responsibility to the county to get those taxes paid, but a credit was given from my seller to that buyer so she could pay off those taxes. So it's definitely something to consider and something to think about when you're making a sale, either on the purchase side or the selling side. Talk to your realtor, talk to a tax expert, especially talk to a tax expert. Realtors, we're not tax professionals, we're not licensed accountants, we're not anything like that to give you solid tax advice, but we can look at property taxes and look at what is listed on the county side to tell you what is owed and how that breaks down then on the contract at closing as far as disbursement of those funds go. But it's very important to think about because that will affect your final bottom line. If you're on the buy side, that could increase your closing costs. And if you're on the selling side, you might get a credit for that, or you might owe a certain amount of taxes as well, in addition to, which will be subtracted from your final proceeds from the sale of your property. So taxes are, unfortunately, taxes don't go away. They're always going to be a factor. And then it's just important to think about the timing of when those are. Like if you haven't paid off the property taxes yet for the previous 6-month period, then that will be coming up. And that's something that you have to consider then when you're making your final sale. So just something to think about, and be sure to talk to your realtor more about it, about how taxes work when it comes to real estate sales. And always keep in mind that they are paid in 6-month arrears. So this current tax bill that we all unfortunately have coming up, that is from January to June of last year. And then in the second half of this year, that'll be for the previous month as well. And then that comes to play then when you finally sell your property. So it's definitely another hurdle in the real estate process. So that's why you hire us to help you through it and to consult with all these things. Hope this is helpful, and I'll be seeing you guys next week. Take care.